Her phone lit up at 2:14 a.m. The screen was facing me. I wasn't looking for anything, but there it was, Zach. I didn't recognize the name, didn't move, just watched. The message preview slid in under his name. Miss you, can't stop thinking about that night. I blinked once, real slow. She was next to me, curled away, breathing shallow like someone pretending to be deep asleep. I didn't touch the phone, didn't wake her, didn't say a word. That wine emoji hit harder than the words. We used to have inside jokes about wine. She used to send me those same little emojis when we were long distance, back when it meant something. Now it was 2:15 a.m. and I realized she hadn't kissed me with intention in weeks. Not really. Not since that night she came home late and told me I was too checked out lately. Said I didn't see her anymore. Said I'd stopped asking how she was. I believed her. I actually felt guilty. Took her to that little Italian place she liked. The one with the flaky bruschetta and overpriced Riesling. She smiled like it meant something. Laughed halfway through dessert, touched my hand like she used to. Said, "This feels nice." I thought we were resetting. I thought I was enough again. Turns out, she already had someone making her feel seen. I stared at the screen until it dimmed. Rolled over, closed my eyes, and listened to her breathe. Her breath used to steady me, but now it just sounded rehearsed. She moved in her sleep, adjusted her legs so it wasn't touching mine. I told myself for weeks that she just liked space, but I knew what it really meant. I used to be the space she wanted to be in. Now I was just in the way. I thought about the week before, how she suddenly cared about her phone battery, how she laughed harder at messages I didn't see, how she kept saying, "It's just work stuff." And how the laughs, they were different, not bad different, just not mine anymore. She changed her lock screen 2 months ago, from our beach photo to a blurry skyline. She said it was aesthetic. I didn't question it. I didn't want to believe what I already knew. At 2:18 a.m. her phone buzzed again. I didn't look. I got up slowly, careful not to wake her, and went to the kitchen. The tile was cold under my feet. I didn't turn on the light, just stood there staring at the sink. The hum of the fridge felt louder than it should. I poured water into the glass she always used for her smoothies. It still smelled faintly of strawberries and protein powder. She left it in the sink most nights, said she'd wash it in the morning. She never did. When I got back to the room, she'd shifted. Her arm now stretched across my side of the bed like she noticed the absence but not the reason. I laid down again, eyes open, listening. She mumbled something, half a word, then stilled. I used to be comforted by her sleep talking. It was the only time she said things unfiltered. Not anymore. Now it just made me wonder who she was dreaming about. The night didn't feel like mine anymore. The bed didn't feel like ours. And somewhere between 2:30 and 3, I remembered something stupid. She stopped using emojis with me about a year ago. The winks, the hearts, the little wine glasses, they just disappeared. I asked once, joking, "No more love notes?" She smiled and said, "We're past that now." But she was not with Zach. I turned to face the ceiling, counted the fan blades, listened to the dull spin. And I knew, even if she never admitted it, even if she deleted the texts before I ever saw them again, I'd already seen enough. I didn't feel rage, not yet. Just cold clarity. The kind that creeps in like dawn, quiet, inevitable. And by morning, I knew I wasn't going to confront her. Not tonight. She'd already left. She just hadn't moved out yet. She made eggs that morning. 3 scrambled, half a slice of buttered toast, and avocado with chili flakes, exactly how I like it. She poured my coffee before I even got to the kitchen, said, "You look tired, thought you could use a slow morning." I nodded, sat down, didn't say much. She hummed something under her breath, I think it was SZA, and wore that old hoodie of mine with the frayed cuffs, the one I thought she tossed last winter. It would have felt like love if I hadn't already seen the message. She handed me the fork and smiled like nothing was broken, and for a second I almost convinced myself maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe Zach was someone from work. Maybe the message was a joke. Maybe. No. I ate in silence. Her phone stayed face down on the counter the entire time. She never looked at it. That wasn't like her. We used to be that couple. You know, the gross kind. Long texts, inside jokes, finger brushes across shoulders when passing in the hallway. She used to call me her calm, said I made her feel uncomplicated. That first year she couldn't stop touching me. Hand on my leg in the car, head on my chest during movies. She'd whisper things like, "Don't get too comfortable, I'm keeping you on your toes," then laugh into her wineglass. We had this thing where we'd write each other notes on the mirror with dry erase markers, just dumb stuff. "You snore like a bear. I hope you're dreaming about tacos. I still choose you." The last note she wrote was over 6 months ago. It just said, "Buy oat milk." I wiped it off after 2 weeks. She didn't notice. We met at a bookstore, actually. She was reading the back of some obscure novel. I made a dumb comment, something like, "That one has a twist that'll make you want to call your mom." She looked at me sideways and said, "Spoilers are unforgivable." We got coffee that night, talked until they kicked us out. She told me about her obsession with missing persons documentaries and how she used to fake being sick to stay home and write poetry in middle school. I told her about my dad, about how I never wanted to become someone who disappeared on people, emotionally, I mean. She told me that scared her a little, that she used to be the one who left first just to avoid getting left. I said, "Then maybe we don't leave." And she smiled, like I just handed her a compass. That smile faded slowly over the years, not all at once, just piece by piece. The proposal wasn't flashy. It was during a thunderstorm. We were stuck inside the car in the grocery store parking lot. I asked her, "Would this count as a terrible story if I asked you right now?" She blinked twice, then just nodded and said, "Only if you don't have a ring." I did. It was in the glove box. I'd been carrying it for weeks. She kissed me like she meant it. That kind of kiss you hold your breath for. She told me later it felt like a movie. The good kind. The ones where people fight but still find their way back. We used to sit on the floor for hours, building IKEA furniture, fighting over screwdrivers and reading instructions in bad accents. We made Sunday mornings our sacred thing. Coffee, vinyl records, no talking until the second cup. Just being in the same quiet together. Somewhere along the way, our silence changed. It stopped feeling like comfort and started feeling like distance. I remember the first time she didn't laugh at my joke. It was something small about a coworker's bad haircut. Normally she'd roll her eyes and say, "You're impossible." That day, she just blinked and went back to scrolling. That was 8 months ago. She told me last fall that we were in a rut. I said all couples hit ruts. She said maybe we'd run out of gas. I didn't know she was already hitching a ride with someone else. She finished her coffee that morning and kissed my forehead like she used to, said, "You okay today?" I told her, "Yeah, just tired." She nodded, said, "We'll do something this weekend, just us." I smiled back, but something about the way she said, "just us," felt like a promise she already knew she wouldn't keep. She started locking the bathroom door. It sounds small, right? But for 3 years she never did. Even when showering, getting dressed, it just wasn't a thing between us. I'd knock, she'd say, "Come in," or "Give me a sec." Then one morning it was locked. No warning, no reason, I knocked. She said, "Give me a minute." Voice flat, like I was someone waiting in a lobby. It didn't matter, but it did. That was the first one, the first crack I couldn't unsee. After that, the little things started adding up faster. She stopped asking me to taste her food when she cooked. Used to be automatic. She'd lift the spoon toward my mouth before she even tried it herself. Now she just cooked with her headphones in. ate while standing by the sink, said she wasn't that hungry. One night she came home late, said it was a networking mixer. She smelled different, something peppery, bold. I asked, new perfume. She didn't look up from her phone. Sample from work, too strong. It wasn't the strength that bothered me. It was the fact that I didn't recognize her in it. That same week, she started wearing lipstick again. Deep red, the shade she used to say was too much effort. Now it was just always on, even when she was supposedly grabbing groceries. I asked once lightly, "Who are we dressing up for lately?" She grinned without looking at me and said, "Can a girl feel good for herself?" Of course she could, but she never wore that shade for herself, not before. That's when I started watching closer. Not snooping, just paying attention. She left her laptop open one evening while she was in the shower. I didn't touch it. Didn't need to. Her Slack notifications popped up one after another, all muted, all from someone named Z. No last name, just Z. I heard the water shut off and walked away from the screen, poured myself a glass of wine, sat down like nothing was burning a hole in my chest. She walked out 10 minutes later in that oversized t-shirt from college, the one with the faded letters, hair damp, smelled like eucalyptus. She kissed me on the top of my head, said, "You're quiet tonight." I said, "Just tired." She nodded, sat across from me, kept glancing at her phone. That used to be my job, knowing her moods, decoding her silences. Now I was just an extra in a scene she'd already rewritten. I started journaling, not because I'm poetic, but because I needed timestamps, proof that I wasn't losing track of reality. She once told me I romanticized pain, that I made everything into a bigger story. So I wrote things down like a scientist. Monday, left house at 6:40 p.m., said she was going to Mandy's, came back at 11:12, lipstick worn off, didn't bring leftovers. Thursday, locked phone immediately when I sat down beside her. Screen showed Spotify paused, not texting, lied. I didn't confront, didn't accuse, I just documented. Because when someone starts rewriting the truth, you need receipts. Even her voice changed, not dramatically, just slightly higher, lighter, when she answered certain calls in the kitchen, calls she took with her back turned to me. And then there were the silences. Not the peaceful kind, the calculating kind, the don't ask me what's wrong kind. I remember one Saturday we were supposed to have a date night. We'd blocked it off on the calendar. Dinner and a jazz show, something small, nostalgic. I got ready. Wore the sweater she once said made me look dangerously huggable. She came home 2 hours late. No text, no call. I opened the door. She looked surprised, said, "Oh, I thought I told you I had to cover for Morgan." She hadn't. I checked my phone twice, 3 times, nothing. I said, "You didn't mention it." She shrugged, "Must have slipped my mind, sorry." Then walked past me, heels clicking on the hardwood, straight to the bedroom. No kiss, no eye contact. That's when I knew she'd stopped seeing me. Not like overseeing, just invisible. She still thanked me when I made coffee, still asked how my day was, but it was mechanical, like reading from a script someone else had written months ago. One night I watched her brush her hair. She used to hum while doing it, used to leave strands on the sink, joking that it was her DNA trail. Now it was clinical, fast, precise, like she was getting ready for someone who actually made her feel alive. I should have asked her directly, should have said, "Tell me if there's someone else." But I didn't, because if she said no, I'd have to believe her, and if she said yes, I'd lose everything too quickly. So I waited, quietly observing. And every day, she disappeared a little more. Not all at once, not like a door slamming. More like a slow fade, like music turning into static. I kept asking myself, when did she stop choosing me? And worse, when did I stop noticing? She left her iPad open on the kitchen counter. That was the whole trigger. Not unlocked, open, screen still on, messages app right there. She was in the shower singing softly, something upbeat, something that didn't match the pit in my stomach. I don't know why I looked. Maybe I already knew. I'd made a rule for myself, no snooping. If I had to go looking, it was already broken. But that day it was just there, like the truth wanted to be seen. The name at the top of the screen. Zach Wineglass. Not Z, not work, not Morgan. Full name, full emoji. Same guy from the 2:14 a.m. message. Same emoji that used to mean us. I tapped once. The thread scrolled. Her messages were soft, intimate, familiar, like the way she used to text me before. Wish I could have stayed longer. You're the only place I breathe lately. He's suspicious but passive. I hate lying, but I'm not ready to leave. I felt my face get hot, but not with rage, with clarity. She wasn't confused. She wasn't deciding. She had decided. She just didn't want to be the one to flip the final switch. That was going to be my job. I kept scrolling. Voice memos. Photos. A reservation confirmation at a hotel downtown 2 weeks ago. That night she said she was staying with her sister because of early morning meetings. She sent him a selfie from our bathroom mirror, my hoodie, her hair wet. Caption: wearing you. My stomach turned. Not from jealousy. From how comfortable she looked in betrayal. And then this one stuck. He's a good man. That's what makes it hard to leave. I sat down at the dining table. Same spot we used to light candles, used to drink wine and play stupid card games. The chair creaked under me, sounded louder than usual. The iPad screen was still glowing. I watched it until it went dark. Then tapped it back on, read the messages again, not to memorize, to believe. You know how your body sometimes knows before your brain catches up. My hands were still, too still, like they were afraid to move too fast, like it would make everything more real. I didn't cry, didn't shout, didn't throw anything. I just sat there for 15 minutes, maybe more. I heard the water shut off. I closed the iPad slowly, no rush, no panic, slid it exactly where she left it, not even an inch out of place. She came out in a towel, humming. Smelled like vanilla and coconut, the body wash I used to love on her. I looked at her, standing in front of the fridge like nothing in the world was unraveling behind her. She turned to me, said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah, just tired." She smiled, said, "Same." Then walked past me, iPad in hand. She didn't notice anything. That night I stared at the ceiling for hours. Her breathing was steady, peaceful. She slept like she was the only person in the world carrying no guilt. I remembered when she used to sleep tangled in me. Now we slept like strangers who'd learned not to bump into each other. Around 3 a.m. I got up, sat at the kitchen table again, wrote in the journal I'd started weeks earlier. I wrote, "She's already gone, she just forgot to pack." The next morning she made pancakes. Added blueberries, my favorite. She even smiled when I took the first bite. It almost worked. The illusion. Like a magic trick you know the answer to, but you pretend to enjoy anyway. She said, "You've been quiet lately." I shrugged. Said, "A lot on my mind." She leaned across the counter, touched my hand. Said, "We should take a trip, just us." I nodded. She didn't know I'd already taken the first trip into the truth. Later that week, I called a lawyer. The receptionist said, "Do you need urgent counsel?" I paused, then said, "No, just clarity." I booked the appointment under a fake name. Didn't want her to see it on the calendar. Didn't want her to know that I knew. Not yet. Because here's the thing. Once you see the truth, really see it, you can't unsee it. And the moment you try to confront someone who's still lying to your face, they'll just twist it, make it your fault, call you paranoid. And I was done handing her that power. So I didn't confront, didn't accuse, didn't even change. I just started planning. Because she wasn't going to leave. And I wasn't going to beg. The law office was in a plain brick building, no signs, no windows facing the street. Just a small gold plaque by the buzzer, M. Whitaker, attorney at law. That was important to me. I didn't want her friends walking by and recognizing anything. The waiting room smelled like old carpet and lemon polish. A ceiling fan clicked softly above me, and the magazines were a year out of date. It felt like the kind of place where people came to end things without fireworks, just forms. I told the lawyer everything, not emotionally, just the facts. She listened, nodded slowly, then said, "Do you want confrontation or resolution?" "Resolution," I said, "but I don't want her to see it coming." We reviewed the prenup, the one she pushed for before the wedding just to keep things clean, she said at the time. Smart couples think ahead. I never argued. I had less money then, fewer assets. I signed without blinking. Now, years later, it was the loopholes that saved me. The prenup didn't cover my startup equity, didn't cover crypto wallets acquired after marriage. And the house, well, she never bothered reading the refinance paperwork, just signed where I asked her to. I remember her saying, "I trust you." She signed herself off the deed 18 months ago. She just didn't know it. The lawyer smiled at that part, not smug, just impressed. "Mr. Calloway," she said, "you're already ahead of most people who walk in here." I spent the next 2 weeks moving in silence. Rerouted mail to a PO box, changed passwords to accounts she hadn't touched in months, closed our joint credit card, opened a new checking account at a bank across town. She never noticed. She was too busy planning her next girl's weekend, too busy texting Zach with her back to me, too busy checking hotel confirmations in incognito mode, as if I couldn't see the reflection in the microwave door when she leaned over the counter. One night she sat across from me on the couch, scrolling. She laughed. Said, "You've been so sweet lately. It's like old times." I looked up. Said, "I'm just trying to show up." She nodded. "You're doing a good job." She kissed me on the cheek like I was a golden retriever. Then went to bed early. I stayed up, watched her walk down the hall. The next morning, she left for work without saying goodbye. I took the day off, sat in the home office and made a list of everything she didn't know I'd already done. By noon, I had the document packet finalized. The lawyer called it the quiet exit file. All she needed was a signature from me and a green light to serve. I didn't give it to her, not yet. I wanted it to land right, not as a fight, as a shift. She called me cold once. Back when we were happy, said, "Sometimes you disappear into yourself. I hate when you shut down." She was right, I do shut down. But I don't blow up. That's the difference. I watched her for another week, didn't change a thing, let her feel safe, let her believe the lie was still working. She played it well. Smiled more, laughed louder, sent me a meme about couples therapy for people who hate talking. I replied with a laughing emoji. She heart reacted it. That night, I heard her on the phone in the laundry room. Thought she closed the door, but it didn't latch. Her voice was low, warm, familiar, the version of her I used to get. She said, I know, I'm working on it. He's been better, but I can't stay just because it's easy." A pause. Then she whispered, "I love you too." I didn't move, didn't breathe, just let the moment pass like a wave over stone. When she walked past me later, she kissed my forehead, said, "You're warm tonight." I wanted to say, "You're not." But I didn't. The next morning I called the lawyer and said, "Serve it on Friday." Where, she asked. At her office before lunch. Any particular reason? She hates crying in public. I hung up, sat on the edge of the bed. Her side was still unmade. The imprint of her body still fresh on the pillow. I didn't make the bed either. Some things deserve to stay messy a little longer. Friday came like any other day. She wore the gray blazer she saves for important meetings, paired it with the silver hoop earrings I bought her on our second anniversary. I think she thought it was a power outfit. I let her feel powerful. She didn't notice I watched her leave. Didn't notice I folded the blazer sleeve back down after she tossed it over the chair. Didn't notice anything, really. She was already halfway out the door when she turned and said, "You want Thai tonight?" I said, "Sounds good." She smiled, "Okay, I'll text you." She wouldn't. At 11:46 a.m. she was served in her office lobby, right between the elevators and the front desk. I'd asked the courier to hand her the envelope and say her full name with authority, not loud, just firm. No scene, just precision. Inside the envelope, the divorce filing, her quitclaim deed, account statements showing her name was already gone. Every asset, every move, done. At 11:48 a.m. my phone lit up. Her missed call. Then again. Then a text. "What is this?" I didn't answer. I was sitting in a cafe across the street, black baseball cap, hoodie, headphones in, watching her through the window, not stalking, just witnessing. She stepped outside, packing, hands shaking, phone still to her ear. Another message came in. "Can we talk, please? Why are you doing this?" Still, I said nothing. She stood there for 6 minutes, called twice more, then walked back in, shoulders squared, holding the envelope like it had burned her hands. By the time she got home that evening, her key still worked. I wanted her to see everything exactly as she left it. Her wine glass was clean and in its usual place. The couch throw blanket was folded. The fridge was stocked with her favorite oat milk and overpriced yogurt. And on the dining table, next to the note I left, were her car keys, her passport, and a printed copy of her hotel reservation with Zach. The note was short. "You left months ago. I'm just making it official." I watched from the upstairs hallway window as she stood in the entryway reading it. She didn't cry, didn't scream, just crumpled a little, like something in her spine gave out. I thought about going down there, saying something, anything, but what would I say? "Why'd you do it?" I already knew. "Were you ever going to tell me?" Of course not. So I stayed silent. That night she slept at her sister. I know because her sister called me, said she was confused and blindsided. I told her she was, and hung up. On Monday, I filed the updated deed. On Tuesday, I changed the utilities. By Wednesday, the mail forwarding had started. She tried to transfer money from the joint account Thursday morning. It was empty. She texted, "I'm not trying to fight. I just need to understand how we got here." I didn't reply. Because she knew. She'd stopped being part of the we a long time ago. I just caught up legally. She emailed me once, formal, professional tone, asking if we could discuss logistics instead of dragging this out. I responded. 5 bullet points, no emotion. Final line. "You may have the furniture, I'll keep the foundation." She got what she decorated. I kept what she didn't see me building, the accounts, the investments, the silent prep. That's the thing with people who lie well, they assume you're not paying attention. They confuse calm with weakness. I let her believe she was winning. Let her believe I was too afraid to act. Let her build her escape route brick by brick, not knowing I'd already closed every door behind her. Her final message came 2 weeks later. Just said, I didn't think you'd actually do it. I stared at it for a while. Typed, you never really thought I mattered enough to lose. Then deleted it. I didn't send anything. I didn't need to. Because by the time she realized what happened, she wasn't just out of the marriage, she was out of options. The first thing I noticed was how quiet my phone became. No buzz at 2 a.m., no missed calls, no long paragraphs trying to explain what really happened. Just silence. Beautiful still silence. She tried to play it cool at first, told mutual friends I was overreacting, that I must have misunderstood, that we were going through a rough patch and I blindsided her. I didn't correct them, didn't respond, didn't post anything. That frustrated her more than anything. She wasn't ready for stillness. She needed noise to survive. She needed me to yell, to cry, to beg for closure. Instead, I gave her nothing. Not because I wanted to hurt her. Because I was done giving her any part of me that she hadn't already wasted. Her best friend, Lydia, texted me. She's a mess, just talk to her, closure matters. Closure. She had it the night she whispered, I love you to someone else. The night she lied about her meetings. The moment she looked at me across the dinner table and said, you've been so sweet lately, like it was a novelty. I didn't block her. I just stopped responding. She posted a picture of her dog a week later, caption. Sometimes, the only thing you can count on is this face. Someone tagged me in the comments by accident. I ignored it. A month later, a photo surfaced. Her and Zach, subtle, smiling, soft lighting. She was wearing the same hoop earrings from the day she was served. I stared at the image for a few seconds, not angry, just detached. She looked like someone I used to know. Like a stranger who'd once studied my heart, but left before the final exam. The messages tapered off, first daily, then weekly, then once mid-September she sent one more. I hope you're okay. That one sat unread for 2 days. I finally opened it. Didn't type a thing, just let the read receipt say everything. It's strange. People think revenge is the explosion. But sometimes it's the echo. It's waking up in an empty house that doesn't feel hollow. It's drinking coffee in silence and realizing peace doesn't need a second chair. The couch feels bigger now. The bed doesn't pull to one side. My closet isn't half lies and broken promises anymore. A friend asked me if I missed her. I said not exactly. I missed the idea of her, the one I used to believe in. The version that sent mirror notes and danced barefoot in the kitchen. But that version left long before I did. And now I get to be someone new. Someone whole. Someone quiet. She called me cold once. I call it clarity. It's been a year. Funny how time feels heavier after silence. I don't mark days anymore, I mark shifts. The first night I slept through. The first weekend I didn't think about where she was. The first time I laughed at something and didn't wish she was there to hear it. People still ask what happened. I don't explain, not really. You can't summarize that kind of ending in a sentence. What do I say? She left months before she packed a bag. Or maybe I left without raising my voice. Sometimes I think about the version of her I met, messy bun, flannel, crooked smile in a bookstore aisle. That girl was real, for a while. She once told me I made her feel safe. And she used that safety like a hotel room with a late checkout. The thing is, I didn't stop loving her. I just stopped waiting for her to return to herself. She thought I wouldn't leave because I was calm. What she didn't understand is that calm is where my decisions live. The worst part wasn't the cheating. It was knowing she started grieving the end while still kissing my forehead goodnight. There's no roadmap for that kind of betrayal, No handbook for what to do when the person who said, "I choose you," starts choosing absence instead. So I made my own. No screaming. No public spectacle. Just a clean line between what was real and what had become performance. Sometimes I reread the message she sent, the last one. "I didn't think you'd actually do it." That's the part that stuck. Because for her, loyalty meant endurance. For me, it meant truth. And when the truth went missing, so did I. Now, now I open the windows when I wake up. Let the cold air hit my skin. I make coffee slow. I talk less. I listen more. And every now and then I think about her. Not in anger, not in regret. Just as a lesson. People don't always stab you in the back. Sometimes they press their forehead to yours, whisper, "I love you," and twist the knife slowly. Right through trust. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.